name of my variable from message statement. And you'll notice when I click on this little exclamation point, it throws error now because I'm using the word message, but I've never really defined a variable with the word message here. Let me give you an example. If you were in math class and you define a variable that said x equals 5, and you said, what's x times 5? You'd say, oh, that's 25. That's cool. That makes sense. Let's see if we can get our error going again here. There we go. Message is not defined because now my variable is named statement. So if you had x equals 5 and you said, what's x times 5? That would make sense. You'd say, oh yeah, I know x is 5, so 5 is 25. But if you changed x, so it was y equals 5, if you had a math problem in class that said y equals 5, what's x times 5? You'd be like, what the heck? You never told me what x was. I have no idea what you're talking about. And that's exactly what our software is doing here. We've got a variable named statement, but you want a message down here. In order for it to make sense, we have to use the variables that we've already had defined. So I changed, for number 4, my answer in 2 different places. I changed it where it's defined, and I defined it as statement. And then wherever I use it, I'm going to have to use the exact same name. So the answer to this is 2. I changed the name when I made the variable in the first line, and I changed the name where it was used. Message to statement. The names of our variables have to line up. And the most common error I saw in number 8 on last night's homework was that people would change the first name, but they wouldn't change the second. Our variables always need to be the same. Now, feel free to pause the video here if you want to take a look at how I answered any of these 4 questions. This is about where I want us to be as far as input boxes and variables go. I think this is the hardest part of what we've learned so far in terms of JavaScript. And if you have any further questions on this bell work, I know I spent a whole 15 minutes going over it. I think it's because it's really important. Please reach out, shoot me an email, ask questions, come to office hours today. Let me know how we can talk things through because we don't get the chance to do that online. Once you're done, you can hit next. And that'll actually bring you to the IP for tonight. But I actually want to start with something else. Some of you might be familiar with Cleverbot. You're welcome to check it out if you want to. We're going to talk to Cleverbot a little bit here today. Because Cleverbot is a very particular and interesting part of what I'm going to tell Cleverbot hi, and I'll say think about it. And once it's done a little bit of thinking, it asks, are you a staker? I don't know what that means. I'll tell it, no, I don't know what that means. Artificial intelligence, are you one? Or some kind of VI? I'll tell it, no, I'm a person, not artificial intelligence, to the best of my knowledge. Yes, you are. I am not. I am AI. That's so cool. You see, Cleverbot is a website that responds to user input. See, I tell it things like, no, I'm a person, and it says, yes, you are. I'm not. I'm an AI. I'm an AI. And it actually will change the way it acts depending on what information you give it or what user input. This is a really, really, really important skill for us in JavaScript. It is the main focus of what we're actually going to talk about today. Before we do anything else, I'd actually like you to answer question number 1. In addition to the examples given by Mr. Barron in class, explain one place you've seen on a website where the website responds to what the user does. This is how Cleverbot works. First example that I could think of. I want you to go ahead, pause your video, find your own website example, go ahead and answer question number 1. When you're ready to move on, go for it. You see, one thing we want to do if we want to make websites that help us to solve problems is that we want to be able to respond to user input in some ways. We want to be able to check things. We want to be able to have different reactions based on what you say. We learned in last class how, with our GOAT basketball project, to put somebody's name in and then display it on the screen. What I want to do is I want to actually change the way that website acts depending on what you put in there. And in fact, we have a very important problem to solve here today that has been bugging me all year. It maybe isn't quite as urgent now that we're meeting remotely, but is one problem that I encountered every day. In fact, I was so bugged by it that Riverside and Heron High Schools have made me an official detective to help solve a problem that has infiltrated our school system. The problem, my friends, of IDs. You see, when I was running seminar a couple weeks before school let out, I was talking to a student and I said, John, can I see your ID real quick? When I opened up and took a look at John's ID, I didn't see John's picture, but instead I saw a picture of Kanye West. This is not the only fake ID I've seen among the Heron and Riverside school systems. More recently, some ones that I've seen include Patrick Starr. Unfortunately, he does not attend our school. And of course, the obligatory McLovin. And what I really want to make sure that we're doing is we're only letting people in who are the appropriate students or staff here at our school. So I've made a website to help us do that. It's called the Heron and Riverside ID Checker. If you want to take a look at it, I'll be talking about it over the course of the next couple of minutes. It's on the Haiku link right below this point. And the website says, should they be at our school? I think this would be super helpful for Mr. Harper or Mr. Westerfeld to track down and make sure that we've only got students here who should be. And it's got a space for you to insert a name on your ID and the opportunity for you to write down or to display whether this person should in fact be at our school or not. Feel free to open this up on your own on the Haiku page and play around with it a little bit. Now, in order for us to make sure this works, we can type in some of the fake IDs that we found, like Kanye West. And when I check here, it says, oh, they shouldn't be in the building. Or McLovin. Still says shouldn't be here in the building. But we also want to make sure that we can check to see if there are people who do and in fact should be here. Some of you guys know that I'm pretty good friends with Mr. Sutton. This is Mr. Sutton's ID photo. And despite the fact that it involves him putting on a face mask and headband at home, he's someone that should be in our building. And so he's someone for whom our ID checker should in fact work. So let's try it. Yep, he checks out. Cool. We're good to go on that front. Now, the question is, how do we do that in code? If we look on our HTML side, we'll see some familiar things. A little thing on top that should they be at our school. We've got an input box that says insert name on ID, which will pop up whenever the thing's in there, and a button with the function named click me. That's defined over here. We'll see, just like last time, that there is a line of code that's going to save a value into a variable named answer from our input box. Got the ID name check. But then we have stuff that starts to look a little bit funky, a little bit different up here. If answer equals Mr. Sutton, document like that element by ID, title, that inner HTML, equals else line number 4 shouldn't be in the building. The question is, what is this structure and what does it do? We call these things an if-else statement. It's our way of responding in code to what a user might do. And our goal for today is going to be able to try to describe this in words and break it down ourselves. Okay. Let's look at this example specifically. We notice that if I put Mr. Sutton in, it says, yep, he checks out. Line number 3 up here seems to put what we want on the screen if they're correctly part of our school. Okay. Yep, he checks out is the text that's going to appear. It should be part of our school. Seems like line number 3 right here is going to be what it is if they are part of our school. While line number 5 appears, they shouldn't be part of our school. The question is, how do we structure this in code? The answer is that it depends on what the value of the variable is. Up here, I've defined a variable named answer. That saves the value in the input box. And now I've got this word, this placeholder answer, that I can check. So this line of code right here seems to put what we want on the screen if they are along there. They don't teach correctly part of our school. When do we want this to display? We want it to display, yep, he checks out, when we put Mr. Sutton in our box. So this line of code, if answer equals Mr. Sutton, check to see if Mr. Sutton is in the box. And everything that happens between these two squiggly brackets, which in this case is to print, yep, he checks out to the screen, happens if the answer in the box is Mr. Sutton. This line of code will run if the answer in the box is Mr. Sutton. Now we said we want shouldn't be in the building to run if the answer is not Mr. Sutton. Putting the word else is our way of saying do this if the answer is not Mr. Sutton. So it basically says, hey, we've got two options. If the person puts Mr. Sutton in the box, print to the screen, yep, he checks out. If not, print to the screen. If it's helpful at all, you can open up the CodePen page from Haiku to look at my comments on it. But what also might be helpful is that today's notes under point number 3 feature everything that I just said